What's the story you always tell about the wide receiver dropping the ball and you got him saying, "Thank you, Jesus"? What's that all about?
I go out with this one player, and he's a NFL wide receiver. I won't say a name. And I'm throwing him passes. He's running routes. And about the 8th or 9th ball, he drops the ball. And when he drops the ball, he lets out a really bad word. I don't need to say what it is. We've all heard a bad word before. It was
golly jeepers.
Yeah, not quite. Anyway, he says this, right? And I look at him and I said, "What did you say?" And he kind of looks back at me sheepishly and he goes, "Well, I dropped the ball." I said, "I know you dropped the ball." I said, "But what did you say?" And again, he looks at me and he goes, "Yeah, well, I dropped the ball." I said, "Thank you, Jesus," right? And he kind of gives me this like stark, shocked look, like almost like, "What?" Like it was almost like I hit him over the head with a 2x4, like, "What?" And I said, "Thank you, Jesus." He goes, "Well, why am I thanking Jesus? I dropped the ball." I said, 1 Thessalonians 5:18, be thankful in all things. He was a Christian athlete too. And I said, 1 Thessalonians 5:18, be thankful in all things. Not just all the stuff you want, but in everything, you're supposed to be thankful. He's kind of looking at me like with his eyebrows down, like he's thinking about what I'm saying. And I said, "So thank you, Jesus, right?" And he goes, "Thank you, Jesus." I said, "Good, now come on back." So he comes back and I said to him, "So tell me what happened." Of course, I know he has no idea because he was cursing, kicking the ground. I know he has no idea why he dropped the ball. But I asked him, I said, "What happened?" And he goes, and almost everybody, by the way, you ever ask this of, will almost say the same thing. They'll make something up and then put a question mark at the end of the statement. So they'll say, he said, I didn't get my hands up, and it means he doesn't know.
Right. I took my eye off the ball.
Yeah, like he doesn't know. So he's trying to say, well, what could it have been? And let me give you something because you've just asked me a question. I got to give you something. So I said, "No, actually, off your plant," I said, "your head swept around. And when you swept your head around, it was too slow and everything blurred and you didn't see the ball soon enough and you didn't see it clearly enough. And that's why it actually hit you in the helmet," which it did. So I showed him and I said, "Now you're going to think, I don't know if anybody's going to watch this, but if you watch right now, if you do your cut and you turn your head even just like that, everything blurred until my head stopped there, right?
Yeah, right.
But if I do that, I mean, I look like I have a tick.
Right.
But that, I just saw a ball 5 yards sooner.
Yeah.
And it stopped my vision and I could actually focus in detail on the ball coming at me, right?
Right.
So I told him that. So he goes out, he runs some more routes, about, again, maybe 10th ball, whatever it was, he drops on the ball. And I can see it. He's about to say the word, but he stops himself and he looks back at me and I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Thank you, Jesus." I said, "Good, come on back." So he comes back and I said, "Tell me what happened." And he goes, "It's exactly what you said. I did it again." He goes, I swept my head around, and he goes, "I did not see it." I said, "Perfect." Now, some people say, "Well, why don't you tell him, yeah, you got to fix that or you got to do better?" Because he knew what he did. You can't change anything without awareness. So the fact that he knew he did that, victory. I mean, it means that he's going to change. It means he's going to get better at this. I said, "Perfect, exactly what it was." By the end of the day, this guy is making catches that could be on an ESPN highlight reel. I mean, they're unbelievable catches that I had never even seen him making before. And he could be 40 yards away from me, and if he dropped one, I'm now hearing him scream out at the top of his lungs, "Thank you, Jesus!" And my point to this, some people say, "Well, what was the point of having him say that? Like, he's a wide receiver. He's trying to get better at receiving." There's two reasons for saying "Thank you, Jesus." The first one is the higher argument. It's the right thing to do. We are called to be thankful in all things, so it's virtuous. It's the right thing to do. Be grateful. The second reason, though, is purely pragmatic and sports performance. This is a world-class athlete. He's a wide receiver in the NFL. If he drops a ball, there's a very specific reason he dropped the ball. But if he's cursing, which is, by the way, ego, which is actually pride. Nobody thinks of that in that way. But the reason you're cursing, kicking the ground, everything else is to show me how upset you are because you don't drop balls. You are so much better than this. So you have to show me that you're upset about this in some way, right? It's about pride. You let that go. The "thank you, Jesus" frees you up, gets rid of all that garbage, and lets you reflect on actually what just happened. If you know what happened, you can change. Matter of fact, it's inevitable in anything. Anything you're doing in life. You could be a musician, you could be a carpenter, you could be an athlete. You got to know precisely what you did, and you also got to know precisely what you want. If you know those two things, you will eventually get there.
Hey, thanks guys for checking out the Conor Gallagher Show. Please
take a moment to like, subscribe, or comment, or whatever you got to do to support it. And I appreciate that very much.